It's my great pleasure to introduce this morning's guest speakers. This has been a long time coming. She's spoken here on several occasions previously, and it has been, I think, maybe a little too long since we've had you grace our pulpit. Reverend Judith Fleenor, she began speaking here as a practitioner. She started studying metaphysics 15 years ago and is now a staff minister at the Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. Using positive thinking all her life, the Science of Mind philosophy was a natural place for her to gravitate into. In addition to her duties at her home church, she sits on the board of directors for both the Marin Interfaith Council and the Interfaith Center at the Presidio of San Francisco. She is also a panel moderator for the Islamic Network's Interfaith Speakers Bureau. She has successfully used Science of Mind principles to create two businesses from the ground up, starting in the world of the internet when people thought it was just a pipe dream and ending up as the worldwide director of training for Netscape Communications. Her topic today is turning off the media experts and tuning in to your personal pundit. Please join with me in a warm welcome to the Reverend Judith Fleenor.
Thank you. And I want to thank our musicians. You will see how perfect that song is for the talk I'm doing today. I just love how God works. In the introduction, they said that I was one of the pioneers in the internet age. And what that means is that I started playing around with the internet technologies when the only other people playing in it were geeks and dreamers. So it's a good thing that I love both geeks and dreamers. Let me give you a little a timeline of when this time period was. It was in 1993 that I started tinkering around in the internet. And to give you a little context for what was going on at that time, the first web browser, graphical web browser that we use today to look at the internet had not yet been invented. Yet Al Gore was peddling around the term the information superhighway. So there was a lot of buzz in the industry. The information superhighway had been mentioned in the Herald Tribune, in the New York Times, and in April of that very year, 1993, the information superhighway was on the front of Time magazine. So there was a lot of buzz about it, good and bad. But what I want you to hear about this story is what it was to be experienced being in that industry at that time. Here's what it was like for me. I would go to a dinner party, and a friend would ask, "So what are you up to?" I said, "I'm starting a company with some friends, for the friends, and it's based on internet protocols." That is all I had to say. The conversation would go something like this. "Well, the information superhighway is not going to be anything. It can't work because blah, blah, blah. It's a pipe dream." And then my favorite comment of all would come. Someone would always say it. "No one is ever going to make any money on the internet." And this is when I would keep my mouth shut. I would sit at the dinner table while the conversation buzzed around me, and I would think, well, I'm making 100% of my internet money doing this. Here's what I have to tell you. The dinner table experts don't know a thing about what's going to happen in your life.
Right.
Not only do the dinner table experts not know, industry experts may not know either. They may not get it either. Industry experts at the time were saying all sorts of things. Let me quote something that was written in 1991. This is even 2 years before that, in the Futurist publication. You would think that the Futurists might get some of it right. Yeah. They were quoting Al Gore, and Al Gore said this: "In 1997, I proposed a network of information superhighways. The only person I could find who was really enthusiastic was one gentleman from Cummings Glass. Executives in the communication industry were at first reluctant to endorse the idea. Indeed, hostile would be the actual word that would be more appropriate. So, right now our airways are filled with a whole bunch of pundits and commentators that are trying to tell you, day in and day out, doom and gloom, and give you advice about where the world is going. Right? Okay. I say turn off the TV. Turn off the TV. Those same commentators have no more relevance to you than the dinner table conversations that I had with my friends. If I had listened to them, they said I was not going to make any money on the internet. In fact, even the experts in the field often get it wrong. Let me tell you this. Lee DeForest. Does anyone know who Lee DeForest is? Well, our broadcaster in the back does. Lee DeForest was a gentleman in the early 1900s. He is often thought of as the father of radio, the father of broadcasting. He was the first to broadcast opera out of New York. He was also an inventor. He invented the vacuum tube, the audion, that actually allowed for broadcasting to even be in existence. So this man knew a little something, and he was a forward thinker, premier in his industry at the time. And here's what he's had to say. This is in 1926. While technology and theoretically television may be feasible, commercially and financially, it is an impossibility. This was a man who wanted to make his life in broadcasting. This was a man who actually was tinkering with the TV in his basement. And let's hear what he said. While theoretically and technically television may be feasible, commercially and financially, it is an impossibility. So I'm telling you, the experts don't know anything. The experts don't know crap, especially about what's going to happen in your life.
Yes.
Okay? So, turn off the TV. Now, these experts, you may say, but they have facts, and they have figures, and they have statistics. Yeah, they have facts, figures, and statistics. And where do people look for facts, figures, and statistics? The past. And as metaphysicians, we know that the past has no precedence on the future. Right? No precedence. Now, if you listen to those same pundits, the same people, a little over a year ago, probably about 2 years ago, what were they saying? They were saying America is not ready to elect a black president. They were sure of it. Now, those same reporters turn their sights on the world economic crisis. But what have they forgotten? They've forgotten the spirit of the American people. They have forgotten that our dreams and what we hold inside us is much more important than anything they can publicize. Anything. We are the ones that need to know what's happening next. In 1945, this is the eve of the Marshall Plan, NATO, and free trade. General Omar Bradley said this: "It is time that we steered by the stars and not by the lights of passing ships."